And welcome to another episode of 5-Star Revolution. I am your fearless leader, Vic Muscat. With me always is the 6-star general of the show, CJ Price. CJ, what's going on, man?
Thank you so much for having me on again, Vic Muscat. This is going to be an interesting episode. We have a very interesting guest, somebody that is, let's say, hardcore. And his name is Badass Brian Albertson. Thank you for joining us, man.
Absolutely, man. And since a couple of the surgeries and I got the metal in my bones, it's the Bionic Badass now.
I saw that.
Badass.
I saw that. But CJ kept on saying badass. So I was like, all right, maybe I'm just seeing things or whatever. So I blame CJ for my misinformation.
That's okay.
Hey, man, don't blame me. Don't blame me. I didn't know that, okay?
And the hat you're wearing, you don't know a lot of things. But anyways.
So go ahead, Vic. I know you have some questions for Mr. Brian Albertson.
Oh, absolutely. Because I saw a couple of your YouTube videos. Even the one that you lost on, I still swear I saw a shoulder up and the referee was just blind because you're that good.
Probably.
How did you become how did you become passionate about the professional wrestling business?
Well, it was something that I loved when I was a kid, and I never grew out of it. And later on, I decided I was getting a little older, and I said, if I'm going to try this at all, it has to be quick because I'm getting too old. So I had a friend of mine, Tony Jones, who had wrestled before, and we had done a few music videos together, and I had been on his radio show. And I asked him where to go, and he pointed me in the direction of RICW, and from there it just took off.
And your style as a wrestler seems like a brawler. Like you kept on coming, no matter how many hits you taken.
Well, that's kind of the deal, because I'm no Ricky Steamboat, I'm no Ric Flair. Like, I can trade a few holds, but I'm not the most technical wrestler in the world, And I was doing the real fighting thing before this, so I said, why not just go with that? It's the easiest gimmick is not to have one and just be who you really are.
What were the resources you used to switch from fighting to wrestling?
Oh, well, when I first started, I had a hard time even taking a bump when I first started, because all the training I had ever had said, don't throw yourself on the ground like a fucking asshole. So it took me a little bit to acclimate myself to I'm intending to do this now instead of trying to avoid it all the time, and the opposite side of things, I was throwing a lot of potatoes at people for a while until I got more used to it, and even then still just out of fun half the time was throwing potatoes.
In your whole career, what was your biggest failure and how did you learn from it?
My biggest fear?
Failure. What did you try and just totally sucked ass at?
I think I had this idea of being a high flyer for about a minute.
Oh.
And I remember the first time I got up on the top rope, it was at a packed show, and because I do the cannonball into the corner on people, but I had this idea that I was going to do it off the top rope onto the group of guys at the floor. And I got up there and I was like, this is a horrible fucking idea. And I did it and I landed and I dislocated my shoulder, and popped it back in and went and speared somebody.
Oh, that's
but
hard.
now I'll do a frog splash and stuff like that. Now it's not as big a deal. But when I first started, I was I'm not going up to the top rope anymore.
So when you went to the top rope for that first time, what was going through your head?
Well, I remember thinking to myself, this is a lot higher up than it looks. And I remember standing up there forever. And I said, well, it's going to look really stupid if I climb back down now, and the only thing I could do was just do it, so I just had to just trust in whatever. And I just flung myself off the top rope upside down. And it got a holy shit response for all the wrong reasons. And I remember one of the guys that was lying next to me when I landed, he was like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No, I dislocated my shoulder." He's like, "Well, I'll tell the ref and we'll get some people." I was like, "No, you fucking won't." I was like, "I'm gonna pop this back in and get back in the ring." And he was like, "All right, if that's what you want to do, you know."
You popped it back in and you kicked ass.
Yeah. No, it's a funny thing. Huh?
I didn't say it. Did you say something?
Like
No, I didn't say anything.
But it's wrestling's a funny thing, you know. Like every time you think you know what you're doing, you get reminded that you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You know, there's always somebody better or more knowledgeable, and the best you can do is just learn from everybody. Unless you want to be a complete dick and then just start fucking decking people for real.
So, Mr. Brian, I know you personally. We've wrestled in the ring many times in the past.
Yep.
And I know your career very well. I know you started off as a referee. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the first training I ever went to, a couple of the guys were like, because obviously I wasn't ready to wrestle. It was my first training. And a couple of the guys were saying how they were down to one referee and they didn't know what they were going to do. And I just overheard the conversation. So like I jumped in, I was like, "Hey, until like I'm ready, I can ref, you know, in the meantime." And they agreed to it. And they came up with this idea that I was going to be like the ref you didn't mess with at all. Like they were like, if something happens, put your hands on them. You're not going to be one of these refs that like runs and hides or anything else. And I think one of the first times, they didn't tell any of the guys about this, that I was going to do this. They just let it be a shoot that I was going to just start fucking people up. And the first time it ever happened was with Brutus Sane. And we did a thing, and he was in a confrontation with somebody, and I went to push him back, and he like whacked me in the stomach with the kendo stick. And I thought, you know, like, if I just crumple like a sack of shit right now, that destroys my entire gimmick. So I stood back up and I did a double leg takedown on him and just started raining down shots. And he's panicking. He thinks I've just lost my mind. He doesn't know I'm supposed to do this, you know? And he's going, "Are you all right? What's wrong?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "This is just the way this is going to happen, man."
So he thought it was a shoot.
Yeah, he thought like I was pissed about something, or like, because nobody bothered to tell the boys in the back, like, this referee's going to get physical with you if you break a rule or something. They just like, well, like, just go out and do it. You surprise them.
And one of my questions as a ref, did you take any lessons as a ref to become a wrestler?
I did. About a lot of things, like about ring placement, you know, where the hard cam is, things like that mostly. I mean, I'm not going to remotely pretend I know everything about the wrestling business. I don't. There are people far more knowledgeable than me, you know, and I came into this as an older guy. I knew I wasn't getting to fucking WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor or AEW now, that fucking clown show. But I figured, you know what? I was like, this is something I love, and why not give it a shot? See where it takes me. And I can't complain about it, you know. Like, I had a blast. I got to travel a little bit. I got to wrestle people all over the place. I mean, it was cool. You know, it beat the shit out of me, but it was cool.
If you could start younger, because you said that you started as an older age, if you could have started younger, would you?
I think I would have. You know, I think. But see, it's a weird thing because I've always been a musician too. You know, and when I was younger, I was focused on that and like getting gigs and playing in bands and things like that. So I don't know. Part of me wishes I had started a lot younger. I remember when I was doing trainings the last year or two before the pandemic hit. I remember fucking Dozer saying to me, "Scott, I wish you had started when you were like 22, you know." Like,
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, I maybe could have got somewhere with the whole brawling gimmick, you know? Because, I mean, you got to figure, when I was 22, shit, it was the early 90s.
Wow.
You know, so it was a lot different back then, especially in the wrestling business. I mean, the fucking Monday Night Wars hadn't even started. You know?
Right. So you said that you started off in RSTW, and where did you grow? Where else did you wrestle in your career?
MAW helped me out a lot. You know, Jerry Charlatan, we became friends, and he put me in a lot of situations, and he was awesome, you know. And when I did good, he was there to say I did good, and when I did something stupid, he would, in the same way, he'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know, like. So Jerry's really cool. I worked through Nova for a little bit. I worked a few shows for House of Bricks, AWE out of Maine, WCWE out of Connecticut, WMWA. I did a couple of shows. Nice. You know, so it's been cool. You know, I mean, I don't have much time left at all with it. You know, I've had like a shit ton of injuries now, and even just last August in my day job, I ripped the muscles in my back. My back is a complete fucking mess.
Ouch.
Yeah. And so, I mean, me going out and doing big stuff is just sort of done now. You know, I am, the last company I was working for was AWL, and they had a story going through that before the pandemic hit, you know? And so, like, I'm not going to screw up their storyline. You know what I mean? Like, I'll fulfill the rest of that. And then, you know, and I know I said it before a couple of times in the ring that I was leaving and retiring. And I even meant it those times. The first time was from an injury. And then like 6 months later, I felt okay. So I came back. And then the next time it was because I was going to do something different. And then people started messaging me like, "Hey, do you want to do a match?" You know, but this time, like, when it's over this time. You know.
Okay. All right. Everybody says that, man. Everybody says they retire and they come back. But me, I haven't came back since I said I retired. So, there you go. But no, I know Vic has a couple questions for you. So go ahead, take it away, Vic.
First of all, there's a huge age difference between both of you. So CJ, you can come back anytime still.
Yeah. No, I mean in October. I'm turning 50 in October.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm 44, so I'm almost there.
Yeah. No, but there's a big difference getting in the ring when you're 25 compared to 50.
True.
You know?
Very true. The body can take it when it's 25, but once you start getting older, it gets less and less motivated to actually. It's like you've been beating me up for so long now. Forget you, man. I'm not good.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like even certain moves that I did that were like signature moves of mine. Like I always did the Kevin Owens cannonball. Mm-hmm. You know, but like now from doing that for fucking a few years straight, you know, landing on the back of my head and neck and everything, like I got a giant knob on the back of my neck from that shit. You know, like whenever it rains out, I can feel the friggin' screw in my wrist when it rains out. My knees don't want to work, you know.
That sucks. That's lame.
But it is what it is. I'll finish out that storyline, and then I've been back playing music for the last couple of years now too.
Nice. What type of music?
Yeah. Well, I have my own band, the Brian Shovelton Band, and it's sort of like it's mostly originals, and it's sort of like the Allman Brothers meets Black Sabbath. You know, and plus I do acoustic shows, and I'm also playing bass in another band called Sour Punch. And I just put out a solo album this year. I don't know if you can see that.
Nice.
Solo album, Rose. Gotten a little bit of airplay with it, and that's what I've been doing now is just playing music. You know.
Have you played at a bar before and someone thought they can like, you know, take you out and you just like, bitch, please, and you just fucked them up?
Oh, God, I've been in many a bar fight. As a matter of fact, I was just saying the other day, it's been too long since I've had one.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
It depends on your point of view. I as much as I know I have to quit wrestling, there's a part of me that misses punching people in the face.
You mentioned you popped your shoulder back in from being dislocated. Was there any, besides them saying like you can't wrestle anymore? Was there like another reason why you did that? Like the medical situation, in the back is all screwy, or was it just at the moment you just like the adrenaline pumping?
No, I was always wrestling injured. I would wrestle with a splint on my arm. I came in one with a neck brace on for another match. I was always just sucking it up and doing it. And then it got to a point where people started to worry about it. And I remember for a couple of places they're like, until you come back with a doctor's note, you can't wrestle, which I did. And I get it from their point of view. They don't want to be liable for anything, so I understand that. And then there was one company that was like, even with a doctor's note, we're cool. Like, we thank you for everything you did over the years for us and everything, but like, we don't want to be responsible for you hurting yourself permanently, So, and I understand people's concerns, and my initial reaction was, of course, fuck you. But then I think about it, and these are people that are friends of mine, so they're really just trying to look out for me. Because I'm such a tiny, fragile fucking thing.
So since you had such a long and stellar career, what's one that you wish that you had known when you started that you know now?
Something I wish I knew then that I know now. I wish I knew how to fucking wrestle when I started. Not that I'm Ricky Steamboat now, but fucking there's stuff that I just didn't have a clue about when I first started. Like, I was flying completely fucking blind with minimal training. I just could take a lot of fucking punishment. So I got put into situations, but then gradually you start picking things up in spite of yourself. You start learning how to do things, but like most of the moves that I have done in the ring over the years, I never practiced those. I never trained those things. I remember the first time I did a cannonball, I got the guy down in the corner and I was like, fuck, what do I do now? And I was like, well, I've seen Kevin Owens do the cannonball. Let's see if I can do that. Probably not the best place to try a new move you've never done before in front of a packed house, but I had nothing else I could do. I had to just try shit, But it makes it interesting.
I like to see you give cannonball to CJ.
I think I've cannonballed him before.
Yes, you have, bro. Yes, you have. We've had many matches, man, and I enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah, no, I miss the old chop shop with the way MAW used to be and everything,
I miss it. I really do.
Yeah, no, it was a good time.
But I have a few more questions for you, man. So, what's the biggest accomplishment that you had in professional wrestling?
I think, honestly, my biggest accomplishment with professional wrestling was that I was able to do it at all. Because when I first started, I was 42. And I had people like, you don't belong here. You're too old. You're just taking a spot from a younger guy that has no business being here. And all I did was piss me off and make me do it more, And I think my biggest accomplishment is staying with it. And I got to hold some titles. I main evented a bunch of shows. I went from, and there were people that even tried to shoot on me in the beginning. Like, fuck this guy, I'm going to teach him a lesson. But they didn't realize I had just come from real fighting. So if this is really the way you want to do this, that's fine too, But that's my biggest accomplishment. It's not a title or the amount of places I worked or any specific main event or anything. It's just the fact that I was fortunate enough to be able to do it in the first place. It was a good time.
What's your most memorable memory?
There's a couple. I loved me versus Hunter Kane in the steel cage match at the XWA Event Center. I always wanted to be in a steel cage, and I got to do that. When I got the world title from you, that was in front of my mom.
I remember that.
My mom was there in the front row, and she had never seen me wrestle before, and she's not with us any longer. But it's cool that she got to see me get the world title. You know, that was a cool memory. And yet, it's a lot of it is just moments, specific things at certain times that happened. You know what I mean? It's you look back, and especially if you're hanging out with wrestlers too, like you're having a few beers, that's all you're going to talk about is all the shit that you went through together. You know, and
Right. And what was your favorite match?
My favorite match. Oh, I'll tell you my favorite match just because it was bloody, but it was funny too. It was me versus Mason Marks. And at the time, he was playing the friggin' the evil general manager that was always sticking it to me, like screwing me out of a match, doing this, that, and the other thing. And finally, we got to the point where I had beaten this guy, so I get him in the ring finally. And if he loses, he's no longer the GM. And if I win, and if I lose, then I'm out. You know, and we went and did it, and we did it funny where he was trying to get out of it with a doctor's note and everything. And I stuck a cupcake of all things in his eye. It was ridiculous to lead up to it. But then the day of the match, like the place was packed, and we'd been building it up for so long, like people wanted to see me get my hands on him, you know, and it turned into fucking mayhem. It was like people had brought weapons and were handing them to me as I was dragging him around ringside, you know, like I remember somebody handed me a ball gag and I stuck it in his mouth and choked him out with the ball gag. I split his head open with a PS2, you know, blood everywhere. And then we finally get in the ring, and he gets me in a submission hold, and there's no tapping out. It's no DQ or anything. Like, I can't tap out, you know, and I also can't get out of this fucking move that he's got me in. I'm like, this motherfucker was sick of me beating his ass. So he put me in this submission hold that I can't get out of, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, fuck, how am I going to get out of this? And then I looked down and his leg was right there. So I just bit him until he let go of the submission hold. I had his whole calf in my mouth, just chewing on it. I put a broom in his ass, and swept the floor with him, pushed him across the floor.
Nice.
It's good times.
So you talking about retiring pretty soon. How do you want to retire? How do you want to go out? And would you return in a non-wrestling capacity?
Like I said, I'm going to finish out that storyline, which isn't going to be a lot of crazy matches or anything. And when it's over, it's over. There'll probably be like one payoff match at the things, and then it's over. And like, I would consider coming back as a manager or something. You know, but I would, as a manager, I would have to be a heel, because I would too much want to be tripping people from the outside or whacking them with a cane or something. So I would have to be a heel if I came back as a manager.
Would you consider being a ref again?
No. No, I'm good. Like, and since I did the ref thing the first year there, I've been special guest ref a few times. But of course, like once you start doing the special guest ref thing and you've wrestled for a handful of years now, like every time you special guest ref, you're going to be fucking bumping because they know it's a wrestler referee in the fucking match, you know? So, but it's not even that. I learned a lot while I was a ref, but I didn't enjoy it really.
All right, perfect. And I know Vic has a few more questions before we let you go. So go ahead and take it away, Vic.
How has your life been different? Imagine your life being any different than it is now when you first started?
Ooh, everything in my life is different now. You know, I live in a different town. I lost a handful of people in my life that passed away. I'm engaged to a wonderful woman now. I never thought I would get my music career back at all, and out of nowhere, suddenly, like I just put out a new album, and I'm back in bands and playing all over the place. You know, my life is completely different. I don't know. I think wrestling happened for me at a good time because, like, I was burnt out on playing music, and my father had just died. So I was just an angry mess. And so it was good for me to throw myself into something physical where I could get my frustration out, and but yeah, compared to like when I started wrestling, my life is like a different universe even.
What advice would you give someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and pursue a career in professional wrestling?
Oh, if you want to follow in my footsteps, I would find some different footsteps to follow. But if you want to be a wrestler, don't do it like I did at all. Because for me, it was like, yeah, I'll fucking like get crushed with this or get thrown through that just to get the fucking pop. But most people, I would say, if you're going to be a wrestler, find a good wrestling school. You know what I mean? Like start out knowing your fundamentals and your basics, because I did it ass backwards. I started just throwing myself around like an asshole. And then later on, a few years deep, started to learn basics and fundamentals, So I would definitely say to people, like, get in with a reputable wrestling school, and keep at it. And you'll know very quick if you're cut out for it or not, because I've seen people come to training and in 30 seconds be like, I can't do this. It takes a different kind of person to put themselves through that. And it looks one way on TV if you've never done it before. And as soon as you get in there, you're like, holy shit, what the fuck did I sign up for?
100%.
Yeah. So anybody that wants to start, make sure you want to do it and listen to your fucking trainers because they've been through it and they're trying to fucking tell you how not to kill yourself.
I'm just curious. I'm sure a couple of our listeners are curious as well. With you and CJ wrestling, who's won the most matches? Like who in the series? Who's came out ahead?
He has. Well, that's because he cheated a lot.
Okay, excellent.
I was a heel, man. So what can I
know.
say?
But I finally got that world title.
Hey, man, I was proud to give it to you, but I wasn't proud of losing because I had a long title reign.
I know, but that.
I was glad you had a title reign yourself, and excuse me, the fire trucks are passing by. I don't know if you hear them.
No, that was a crazy night because I had a lot of stuff going on personally, and it was my first match back because remember I had surgery then.
Right.
And I get to this show and I was like in 4 matches, and I was like, holy shit.
It paid off though.
It did, and like I said, I was glad my mom got to see me win that.
Yeah, so. God rest her soul, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So where can fans find you on the internet? Where can fans find your matches, and where can fans connect with you?
If you want to find my matches, there's RICW has its own channel, or you can even type in my name, Brian Albertson or the Bionic Badass Brian Albertson, and because that'll bring up other places like GCW and WMWA and things like that, But you can type in my name or go to I know MAW has a site too. But you could go and watch my old matches, or you could subscribe to my YouTube channel and listen to new music every week.
And where's that?
Yeah. That's if you go to YouTube, it's under my name, Brian Shovelton, and you click on the channel and subscribe. And I usually put out new stuff every week now. And plus, like I said, the new album just came out a few months ago, but don't let me discourage anybody from going and watching the matches. If you want to go watch me get the shit kicked out of me, by all means, go ahead and do it. But also buy a CD.
I just subscribed to your YouTube channel. I just subscribed to your YouTube channel.
Yeah. No, there's some funny matches. There's some matches that are goddamn atrocious where I'm like an 18-wheeler with 6 wheels. Some really awkward fucking stuff up there. But there's some cool stuff too, Very
nice. Well, we want to thank you, Brian, for joining us. We just want to say one thing to our listeners, to please like our page on Facebook, the 5-Star Revolution Podcast. We're giving away not a $25 gift card. We're going to give away a $50 gift card now.
$50.
If we reach 400 likes on Facebook, 5-Star Revolution Podcast. And Mr. Brian Albertson, we hope that you share this page and this video on your platforms.
I absolutely will. And hey, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. You have a great night.
You too, man.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.